Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Did I catch you while you're still eating?
I'm still munching, yep.
Yeah. That's okay. Your picture looks funny because it's like your lips are glowing
My lips.
and from the lights. Yeah, so it's like that they're highlighted bright.
I should. It's funny. It looks funny.
Yeah.
If I do this, it's still definitely the same way, right? Yeah. Because it thinks they're the background. Oh,
Yep.
I open up.
Hey, quick question for you since no one else is on yet.
Good morning.
Does South Bend, do you know, have any programs that allow for loans or funding if I were to buy vacant property and want to build on it? Are there development loans or stuff like that, do you know, that are available?
Directly through the city of South Bend, I don't know that that's a thing. Through the state of Indiana, yes. To develop
Okay.
HUD and even the South Bend Heritage, Marco would know the details. I'm not versed on the details of the commercial side of the development.
Right. Yeah, I knew there was something. I just can't remember who the contact would be. Okay, I'll get in touch with Marco.
Marco,
Yeah, there's some
Mariani.
land that's possibly available. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Yeah.
he would want to actually help do it. Not just,
Cool.
pass you along, but probably help.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Do you have
Yeah, I
Marco?
just drove by some.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just drove by the property this morning to look at it. So, yeah, if you have Marco's contact quickly, I'll take that from you. It'll save me some time.
Let me paste this real quick.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll throw it in the chat here.
Oh, let me get down to my chat. I just don't have my picture on yet because my front door is open and the sun's coming in for the dogs. Yeah. So I'll give them a couple more minutes before I close it on them.
There you go. Should be there in the chat.
I'll give it a second to come up. There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Ah, hey, Kennedy. Hey, Bob.
Good morning, Grant. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, real good, thanks. Let me go. I got to go grab my computer glasses, though.
Understood.
Old age is no fun.
Abby, look fresh. You look refreshed, honestly. Did you do a workout this morning?
Yeah, I swept my floor.
Keeping the place clean.
No, I'm a morning person for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It gets to about 3, 4 in the afternoon and I just fade.
Oh.
Yeah. So, hey, whatever happened to Barbara Mylon? Or
Things weren't working out. Things weren't getting done. We're live on Facebook, so we could talk more about. We're live on Facebook now, so I'd love to talk to you more about it, maybe offline.
Okay,
But
good.
yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, she had approached me about this some time ago, and that's why I'm
Oh,
here.
understood.
So.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Well, first, let me tell you that it took my father-in-law 10 years to get it right. So if you don't get it right on this phone call, there's no offense taken. It's Einters.
Einters.
Yeah.
I was not going to say it that way. Okay.
It's really how it's spelled. If you think of it, Ein, and then T-E-R-Z is Ters. So.
When I spoke with Diana on the phone, she's just saying it so casually. I didn't stop to ask her. I've heard it, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Einters.
It's okay. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Bill. Looks like he's getting set up there.
Okay. Morning, Jim.
So Bob, I have your deck.
Okay.
Excuse me. In our deck. So
Okay.
do you want to roll with that, or do you want to pull it up and that's a backup?
Yeah, I'll just pull it up here. I would assume I just hit share screen and then PowerPoint, and it's right on mine. So I can.
Great.
I'll manage it from here, but if something goes awry.
Sounds good.
My internet's been a little bit off and on. I boosted it with an Eero earlier this week, and I'm hoping that it solves the problem. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine has been going in and out too. Like the mirror board kept shutting down.
Yeah. It's annoying when it's not at a time or expectation. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they're correlated. The greater your need, the more the likelihood something.
I think that's exactly it.
Well, AT&T isn't the most consistent. Hi, Diana.
Morning, Diana. Hey, Grant, you'll have to just butt right in if my voice is cutting in and out. You'll have to let me know if you would, please.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Thank you. Good morning, Diana. You're muted. We're reading your lips, so.
Okay. Good morning, Bob. Good to see you. Bill, Grant, Jay,
Hi.
Morning.
Hello, everyone.
Cheryl, Darcy.
Hello. Good morning.
Going. Hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
Hey, Dan.
Linda's
Linda.
on. Good morning.
Deanna. Yeah.
We're rocking and rolling Saturday.
Hey, Grant, when I hit your link in the email you sent out, it said page not found.
Maybe that's why Colleen's not on.
Yeah, and I tried it like 3 times.
Yeah, I had to go back into United South Bend to get
So
to
did
the
I.
link.
That's how we got in.
Yeah, the link isn't working in the email you just sent to join now.
The one just now.
Yes, the one you just sent a few minutes ago.
Maybe the HTTP isn't on the front of it, Linda. It's a conspiracy.
It is. It is.
Bill, I just called Colleen.
Oh, good.
She said she's getting her camera set up. I said, okay, we'll see you over there.
I just called Marilyn and it said, get up.
Coffee and get up.
I I don't understand night owls. I only understand morning people. I don't get it.
I get up at 5 in the morning. I've already been to the grocery store. I ran some other errands.
Me
Had
too.
a Zoom.
I already
Yep.
did work for work. I already cleaned my bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to the grocery.
Yeah, it's good to go in the morning because no one's there.
Nobody there.
Right.
I got yelled at in the grocery store yesterday by a woman because I came around a corner and she said 6 feet. And I'm like, you're the one going the wrong way. Lady, you can yell at me if I'm doing it, which I'm not saying I don't, but in this case, you're the person in the wrong way. Which I thought was good that she was being very proactive when she felt her space being invaded, although I was probably 6 feet from her at the time, but that's okay.
See, I'm usually that person, 6 feet.
6 feet.
Oh, Linda?
Yeah.
Linda, I was able to see the light. I mean, the light they finally installed this
Yes.
morning because I was
Yeah.
up at like 6. I was like up at 5 and I was out of my house by like 10 after 6. So it was nice and dark and I was able to, the bathrooms were locked and the light was on. So
Yay.
yay.
Phil, I
Yes.
finally got the light fixed after how many calls to AEP? The last time I said, you don't fix it and I'll contact the city
This is part of
because this is putting kids and pedestrians at risk.
this is part of their neighborhood leadership academy project.
Yeah. So you finally have to, you finally have to just go, okay, I'm not making one more phone call. You guys will fix this.
Here's an ultimatum. Just get it done.
Made them. If I can't get you to do it, I'll contact the city and they can hash it out with you. But this needs to be done. Kids are walking in the dark in a park that has had a history. So yeah, not allowed.
Well, Darcy, when you said you saw the light, I thought you had some great epiphany you were gonna share with us that was gonna magically make everything better.
Well, the light had been burnt out for, I think it's been burnt out for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And Potawatomi Park is just really, really dark. And there's no sidewalk for the students walking from like the River Park area to John Adams High School. And so it's a safety concern.
And these guys have put together a brochure to get neighbors involved to solve that problem.
We have a PowerPoint presentation we've drafted, so it's getting there. Then we're going to meet with Diana and find out what we need to do next. How do I fight City Hall?
Oh,
I know that, I
With a
know
wooden spoon. With a wooden spoon.
she's told me in the past to make sure we connect with other people, other stakeholders. So that we can have, you know,
Yeah.
power in numbers.
Well, Potawatomi itself, the Parks and Park.
Mhm.
And then
Did anyone go for trick or treating in the zoo last night?
I don't know.
Kind of nasty out.
I don't know if they had much of a turnout because when they do have Zubu, they often park on my street and I get to see a lot of kids in costumes and I didn't see any last night. So, but then again, I really wasn't paying too much attention. So, but there weren't any cars. So,
Darcy, this is Judy. I missed where you live. Do we live near each other? I'm on Wall Street across from Adams.
oh, you do live, I'm on Hoover, so I live right behind you. Or
Do
just
you?
north of
I
you.
grew
Yeah.
up on Hoover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in fact, we can see the house I grew up in from the house that my husband and I have now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
Wow. Well, we're neighbors.
We are. I have to ask, I don't know if you publicly want to share this, but can I ask what address?
Sure, 1627.
Okay. We must be right behind you. We're 1625 on Wall.
Oh, then you're right behind me.
Except you must be on the north side of the
North
street.
side. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because your backyard would bump up against Dave Stefansik's yard.
The folks,
I
is
think.
that the folks of the Schnauzer?
Yes, yes,
Yep,
yes.
okay, right. Okay. Well, hello, neighbor.
Hi.
That's
Small
so
world.
funny.
Very small world.
I now have your address. I have my toilet paper rolls ready.
Oh, that's great. That's an appropriate place for it.
I haven't done that for years.
Remember when you could run into gas stations and steal all the toilet paper out of the bathrooms to do that? I
Remember when you could throw toilet paper without throwing your arm out?
We're not falling down.
Side toilet paper. Funny.
You ready to get this show on the road, Bill? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go.
Thanks, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Saturday. I'm not on mute. That's great. We are recording this session. We are live on Facebook currently on the NRC Facebook page. So welcome everyone on Facebook. Good morning. We have a couple of things for you this morning. We're going to do an energy session this morning. We'll do a keynote and then we'll do action items and recap from the week of the 2020 Neighborhoods United South Bend Summit. So we want to always start by.
And by the way,
go.
And by the way, up on the Miro board, I did like a recap of all the notes that I took. So it's right next to on the upper right-hand corner of the green section. So if you guys want to look at that, have at it.
The session just went over some times. If you want to play along, you can screenshot here and keep us on track with time. And then we're going to end here around 12:30 with some calls to action and next steps. So hopefully we'll have a good morning and maybe we can all go to the farmer's market later. Thanks so much again to our sponsors. South Bend Brew Works is a monthly sponsor. PNC Bank came in to sponsor not only the summit, but one of our programs, and our community, our neighbor sponsors, the Near Northwest, SOAR, the Southeast Organized Area Residents, and Holy Cross College all came in to help us out. So these people not only help us put on the summit, but they see the power behind citizens getting together, and they're supporting the programs as well. Big thank you, Bill and I would like to say to our board, our committee to help put this event on, and our interns. We're just grateful that people want to dedicate their energy and time to bringing people together. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
And then lastly, again, as always, people also being here attending the summit. You know, if you put on an event and people don't show up to do the work, gain the knowledge, and then put that knowledge into action, then it's just a get together. So thank you attendees for being here, panelists for jumping on. We appreciate you and your time and all the energy you put into taking this knowledge and moving forward with it. So we'll ask Colleen. Colleen, I saw jumped on.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'll ask.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you? You're about to be better, I promise.
Colleen Kilton is our master energy therapist. She runs the Vibrance Center, and she's going to walk us through, I'm not going to say, but she's going to walk us through a practice this morning. So, Colleen, I'll leave it to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to share this morning. I ran across a quote this morning from Joe Dispenza. A couple of us touched on him this week. He said, "To truly change is to think greater than your environment," which is vision. And that sounds very easy, but there's something that seems to get in the way of that. And I believe that thing is fear. And we get into fight or flight, or the fight, flight, freeze response, where we don't think clearly. When we're in that state, we're in survival mode. And that survival mode robs us. I'm telling you this because if you're like me, I need to know why we're doing what we're doing. People say meditation's good for you, but yes, so. And I need to know why it's better, why it benefits us. So it benefits us in a few ways. One of them is that it returns, when you're in fight or flight, your energy in your body reprioritizes. So it's looking for threats. Your radar screen is where's the next potential problem, which is great if you're in survival mode and something's about to jump out of the bushes and attack you. Or another thing that it does is it shuts down our systems, our health maintenance system. So everybody knows you get sick when you're stressed out. And it's because your body is in fight, flight, or fight mode, or freeze mode, and your body is looking for, all of its energy is focused elsewhere on running, or your breathing patterns change. Your digestive system doesn't work, your immune system doesn't work right, your circulatory, all those nice health maintenance systems go on low battery mode. So to get out of that, oh, and there's one more thing, it doesn't allow you to, when you're in fight or flight, you're not thinking outside the box. You're only thinking right here, and you're not thinking about other people. You're not thinking about long-term things. You're only thinking about the next minute or so. And that doesn't benefit anyone who wants to grow. So it prevents the ability to grow, and it prevents us from thinking of new ideas. And so it's so important for us to have that calm. When we're calm, we can think our health is better. So I'm going to share with you a couple tricks that I've learned, the tricks of the trade. One of them is just simply breathing. So I'd like everybody to, I invite everybody to join me in just taking one long, deep breath, and you hold it for a second, just naturally, just breathe in as deeply as you can, and hold it for just a second or two, and then release very slowly. And close your eyes. And do that one more time. Just take a nice deep breath in and hold it. And then release very slowly. Now I'd like you to breathe in. We will do a shortened version of the veteran's trick, where we're going to breathe in and count. So breathe in and count. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that. 2, 3, 4. And exhale slowly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now just observe your breathing. Wherever it goes, it's just perfect. While you still have your eyes closed, imagine a light coming from your body and going straight into the earth. Let it go down into the earth as far as it would like to go. See this light branching out. Maybe it branches out into an entire root system throughout the entire earth and pops up on the other side and brings light over there. Just let it expand. And now, when you inhale, imagine that you're inhaling all of the life essence of the earth, all of the energy in the earth, and you're going to inhale that and draw it up all the way through the earth and that beam of light and back into your body. And you're going to breathe it right up the back and hold it for just a second on the top of your head. And then you're going to exhale anything that no longer serves you, all fears that are in your way, back into the earth. And the earth knows what to do with that energy. You never have to worry about tainting the earth with your bad energy. There's no such thing. It's just energy. So one more time, get in touch with that beam of light in the middle of the earth. And breathe in that pure life essence energy from the earth. And let it flow all the way up your back. And let it rest on the top of your head. And let it flow, cleansing, loosening any fears that hinder your progress, your growth. And when you exhale, exhale them back into the earth. And we'll take it one more step. This time when you breathe in, that energy flows up your spine. And then it flows through your arms and your legs. And you can feel it flowing. It flows out your eyes. It's everywhere. You're emitting this amazing life force energy from the earth. And everything you look at is blessed with this energy. I'll let you hold that for a moment and just imagine the things in your life that need to be blessed. I'm blessing them right now. And to preserve this moment, I invite you to put your hands together in a prayer position. And take another deep breath in, just a natural, nice deep breath in. And exhale. And when you're ready, you can return to us, full of blessings and ready for the day. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Colleen. I wake up to that every morning and enjoying the energy. Beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Colleen was with us also on Thursday and a participant another day. And this morning she has another practice to get to. So thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Yes.
Thanks, Colleen.
Yes. I can't wait to touch base with you again and do more work. And remember, you can touch into that. You can tap that root anytime you need it. Anytime somebody says something that throws you off. That's why I had you put your hands together. So when you put your hands together, you can return to that nice space.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Someone's sharing their whiteboard screen. Hey. Sounds good. All right, we will move forward then with our keynote and Q&A. We have Dr. Robert Eintertz this morning, Health Officer of the St. Joseph County Health Department. Dr. Bob was appointed a full-time health officer of St. Joseph County Department of Health in February of this year. He retired from IU after more than 30 years on the faculty at IU School of Medicine as the Donald E. Brown Professor of Global Health and Associate Dean for the Global Health at Indiana University School of Medicine and Director of the Indiana University Center for Global Health. He completed specialty training in internal medicine in 1984 and then served for 1 year as the Chief Medical Resident at Eskenazi Medical Hospital. The doctor worked as a volunteer physician in rural Haiti for 1 year in 1986 and 1987. His work in health we'll hear more about, and how it relates to the week and the summit and the South Bend area. So we invite the doctor to the stage, and we'll go from there. Doctor?
Yeah, thanks so much, Grant, and many thanks to those of you who joined us this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts with you, and am looking forward to hearing your perspectives on what I have to say this morning. It's been a pleasure as well to listen to the presentations over the last week. I think if anyone had listened to Isaac, or for those of you who had listened to Isaac Hunt, I'm not sure anything more needs to be said. The guy was terrific. And I was also struck by a comment that Susan Tybon made when she was talking about her work at the YWCA, and talked about how, if I could quote here, people come to the Y filled with fear, yet being there, they're imbued with hope and confidence. And it seems to me that that indeed is what all of us can do, and to a degree are called to do here, with the energy that Colleen described, and call that energy with any number of words. But certainly I would hope that all of us would join in solidarity to stand as beacons of hope, as Susan mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead, and you'd think with all the presentations that I have given over the years, and I've given many, 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 I have never actually given a Zoom presentation. And so this is a new experience for me. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to try to share my screen here. And I see what happens. And I want to go to this. And I want to go to this. There we go.
We see it.
Right. Can you, Grant? Can everyone see it? And Grant, you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Hallelujah. Technology actually works here. So this, I need to give credit to Cassie White, who is our unit director for health equity, epidemiology, and data at the St. Joseph County Health Department. And then Mary Washira, who's a graduate of Notre Dame, master's, and is serving along with two of her colleagues who are also master's trained as public health fellows, working with us for the year, funded by Notre Dame. Mary's focus is on health disparities, and Cassie and Mary worked closely with me in putting together this presentation. To start with, though, I'd like you to think about what were the salient events of 1978. And I note that most of you were perhaps around in perhaps not you, Grant, but most of you were.
Uh-oh.
Just a bit of a reminder.
Everyone go ahead and hit their mute button for us, if you could, please. Thank you.
Well, if you caught that, or if you remember that, those of us who were, that was the year I was in medical school, 1978, first full year in medical school. And I wasn't sure if Mark Fox was going to be on the phone or on this listening in or not, but that was really for him. We're living in a world of fools. We're living in a world of fools breaking us down when they all should let us be. We belong to you and me. And I guess that is really the theme. We together as community, me with you, belong to one another. And so at any rate, if you answered G, you in fact got the answer right. What I wanted to focus on, of course, was the Declaration of Alma Ata, which many of you will recall. as defining health not just as the absence of disease or infirmity, but indeed a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and I would add spiritual in there as well. It's a human right, and it's not just the purview of the medical sector, but in fact, to attain the highest possible level of health, we need the input of many other actors, particularly in the social and economic sectors. Interestingly, the United States signed on to this. It was by acclamation, but in 1978, we were perhaps imbued with more hope than we are now. I want to take just a minute to look at the burden of disease in Indiana, and this burden of disease is measured in disability-adjusted life years. I would guess most of you are familiar with this, but for those of you who are not familiar with disability-adjusted life years, it's basically a measure that takes into account not just mortality, but the days, or if you will, the years that one is living with a very significant illness that robs them of the opportunity or the ability to take advantage of opportunities as they're presented. The purpose of this slide is not, of course, for you to be attentive to each of the different names on it, but if you look at just the colors to start with, you'll notice that most of the burden of disease is in blue. And this is the non-communicable diseases or the chronic diseases. So things like ischemic heart disease, heart attacks, cancer, depression, anxiety. In red are the communicable diseases. And if I was showing you a burden of disease in say a developing country, the blue would be relatively small and the red, of course, would be much larger. And then in green are the injuries. Now, interestingly, as we move into 2020 and 2021, we're going to see, because of COVID, a pretty significant shift of this in that COVID being a communicable disease is going to be much, much bigger part of this particular measure. But that said, in general, and the things that we're going to need to focus on over the course of the decade or the next generation is really going to be more in the non-communicable than in the communicable realm. This is another way to illustrate that. And if you just look on the right-hand side of your screen in the 2019 rank, you'll see again that the top, the burden of disease of the top 22, if you will, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, really lead the group, with cancers, musculoskeletal disorders, and substance use following behind. One of the things that I really like to emphasize, though, is that if one lumps together all of the mental illnesses, so if you will, substance use, depression, suicide, anxiety, etc. If you lump all those together, the burden of disease is right up there with cardiovascular disease and cancer. And it's important, I think, for all of us in the community to be aware of that and attentive to that, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in just a second. One, going into medical school, most medical students believe that the determinants of health are particularly the medical or the biological determinants of health. And they tend to think that they, as clinicians, are going to play the major role in the health of their community. But in fact, as you all well know, the social determinants of health are in fact far more important to the health outcomes of the community, and for that matter, most individuals, than the medical or biological determinants. And so if you look on the right-hand side of the screen here in the circles around the squares, clinical care really contributes just 20% of the health of any particular community. Health behaviors, smoking, alcohol use, sexual activity, etc., about 30%. The social and economic factors, education, employment, family and social support, the majority, 40%. And then the physical environment, 10%. Probably over the next decade, physical environment, because of global warming, is going to play a more significant role, maybe not so much here in St. Joe County, but particularly any place along the coasts of any of the countries, we're going to see really significant problems there. Now, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen in that pyramid, it again is an illustration of the importance of the social determinants of health. And this is taking an example of cardiovascular disease. One of the newer findings that have come out over the last couple decades is that adverse childhood experiences, for example, indeed are a major contributor to the chronic diseases, all of that stuff in blue, if you will, that we saw in one of the initial slides. Adverse childhood experiences have been shown now to contribute significantly to those problems. But that's not to say that adverse childhood experience are the only cause, of course. My own brother, I have 12 brothers and sisters, or had 12 brothers and sisters. Our youngest died just in July 4th, in fact, of a heart attack, and dropped dead at age 53, having had no risk factors. Though if I can joke a little bit about his death, which I perhaps can do now, perhaps I picked on him too much when he was a kid. Here, again, an illustration, just more clear of that pyramid, where we see that counseling and education and the things that I might do as a physician caring for a patient in the confines of my office, treating their blood pressure, treating their diabetes, et cetera, has an effect, but that effect and that impact, at least as it relates to the community and to our city and our county, is far less than the impact on, if we were to focus on socio and economic factors. So if we can think of health as opposed to the disease, and apologies for not referencing this, it comes from a New England Journal of Medicine article, and I do reference it, that same article later. The forces that shape our societal structures, including power, money, and access to resources, inevitably become embodied in health and will continue to shape health patterns unless they are addressed. A critical statement, particularly when we get to what are the solutions: power, money, and access to resources, particularly here in the United States as our healthcare system is put together. So then what we as a Department of Health are particularly interested in, and presumably everyone on this phone call are particularly interested in, are the health disparities, the inequities, if you will. And these are directly related to historical and current unequal distribution of resources. And I love this little cartoon that one of the health educators within the Department of Health put together. And it illustrates so clearly, to me at least, this notion of resources and distribution of resources. And the reality is that this is intergenerational as well. And so the effect extends through generations. And you know, as I look at what they are standing on, it's not just the money. It's these other resources as well, as Jasmine Brown and Bill talked about a couple of days ago. Education is just as important to health, in some ways more important to health than perhaps money. So we want to look at some of the specific root causes of health disparities. They're listed on this slide. They're not all inclusive, of course, but these are things that of course need to be addressed or are contributing to these disparities. Income inequality, occupational hazards, racism, segregation, unemployment, poverty, marketing, the toxins that come from our various different sources, housing, et cetera, discrimination. All of these contribute to the health disparities. And what they lead to are these fragmented systems. Our healthcare system is a perfect example, unfortunately, of that. Our healthcare system here in the United States, as we well know, though I personally feel that we live in the greatest country on earth. Every time I came home from other countries in my previous career, I was always glad to be back on American soil. and recognize the power that we do have as Americans and the principles and the philosophies upon which our country was founded. But the reality is we have a fair number of problems still in front of us, and some healthcare systems around the world are far better than our own. And in fact, their outcomes are far better than our own. So fragmented systems are one of the results of those root causes. Powerlessness, disinvestment in neighborhoods. We've seen this over and over again, where banks and others are unwilling to invest in our neighborhoods. This then leads to poor outcomes. And then perhaps most important from my perspective is the the lack of social cohesion, or the tearing apart or the fragmenting of the social cohesion that is absolutely critical for any community to achieve health. And the outcomes of these disparities then, because of the fragmented system, the powerlessness, the disinvestment, and the lack of robust community cohesion are obvious. That's substance abuse, infant mortality, violence, smoking, etc., obesity. And I will go through some of these as they relate to St. Joseph County specifically. Again, goes without saying, this all together then, when the inequalities are high, when the community is not together, when policies and systems are simply not in place, then the health outcomes are absolutely the worst. Let me give you some examples here. I need to move a bit of my own slide here. So again, from the same New England Journal article that I quoted earlier, the average Black family, this is nationwide, has about $10 in assets for every $100 accrued by the average white family. In 2015, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston found a truly staggering racial gap in wealth in Boston. Household assets averaged $8 for Black families and nearly $250,000 for white families. Again, reflective and emblematic, unfortunately, of the intergenerational effect of structural racism. What we have here in St. Joe County and within South Bend, I don't know. We are unable to pull this data from our sources, but I have little doubt that this gap is just as staggering here in St. Joe County and in South Bend as it is in Boston. Let's look at some of the other disparities. This is again in the United States. Black Americans die 4 years earlier than white Americans. Mothers, 3 times as likely, Black mothers, as white mothers to die from pregnancy-related causes. Black infants are more than twice as likely as white infants to die in their first year. And as you'll see in a slide I'll show shortly, that here in St. Joe County, it's 3 times. Black infants 3 times more likely than white infants. And the rate of premature death, that is before the age 75, 30% higher among Blacks than among whites. Here, a map of St. Joe County, which I'm assuming all of you will recognize, illustrates the percent of the uninsured population. And so the darker blue leading to bluish gray, 20 to 30% uninsured, whereas the lighter blue down in the 1 to 5% uninsured. The disparities are striking. This is a bit of a complex slide, and I'll try to walk you through it, but again, illustrates the unfortunate outcome of infant mortality as it relates to some of the disparities that we've been talking about. If we just go to the first side here on the left hand, 365 births to Black mothers where the mom had private insurance. There were no deaths, 0 deaths. And these are small numbers, 365. But if you again go to the nearly 2,000 births to Black mothers who have Medicaid, infant mortality rate of 14.5, 27 births overall, and deaths, I'm sorry, overall between 2015, 2017. Infant mortality rate 14.5 per 1,000. If you look now at white mothers, numbers are bigger. 4,000, nearly 4,500 births. With private insurance, the moms, infant mortality rate of 2.49, just 11 births. And if you look at white mothers insured with Medicaid, a little bit in between the two, infant mortality rate of close to 5, total births, total deaths of 15. If you look at COVID within St. Joe County and look at it by race, if we look at Latinx, Black, and white here, and these are number of cases per 100,000 residents, the disparities, again, are staggering. In the Latinx community, nearly 2,000 per 100,000 St. Joe residents, whereas white, just 630, and Blacks approaching in the Latinx community here. Unacceptable, I'm sure all of you would agree, and due to the disparities that we've been talking about and that I mentioned in the first couple of slides. Let's look at teen birth rates. 2015 to 2019, again, St. Joe County. Here in 2019, white birth rates, Latinx birth rates, Black birth rates, teen birth rates. Overall averages here in the blue to St. Joe County, but again, the disparity is striking. Interestingly, and this data comes, by the way, from the Robert Wood Johnson County Health Rankings. Interestingly, it appears that we weren't even collecting a lot of this data broken down by race or disaggregated by race before 2018. There's been much more of a push, of course, to try to do a better job of understanding where these disparities are, because unless we understand where the disparities are, we can't begin to address them. Here again, low birth weight of infants. Again, the same sort of slide, overall in blue, Black in the tan here, Latinx in gray, and white in the yellow. The disparity is obvious. Infant mortality, this slide simply shows what the word slide said, the word slide that I showed a couple of slides ago. The infant mortality, Black, Latinx, and white. Black infant mortality nearly 3 times the rate of white infant mortality. And my hope is, and my expectation is, that you would feel and do feel the same sense of outrage that I feel every time I look at this. Doesn't have to be that way. That's the bottom line. It doesn't have to be that way. There are countries that do better, and we ourselves can do better. But it means we have to focus on the root causes. We need quality schools. We need access to good food for everybody. We need to address food deserts, recreational facilities, access to healthcare, availability and access to healthcare, and the lack of insurance in 30% of our population is unacceptable, outrageous. The attentiveness to the environment is coming up, but clearly we have a long way to go, and we've taken a step back here over the last 4 years. Income, the amount of poverty in this town. I'm new to this town. My wife was born and raised here. We were married in a Methodist church in Leidick. But I'm always struck when I come in to town here, driving up from Indianapolis, the amount of poverty that hits you in the face if one looks for it. It doesn't take a lot to look for it, but we can do better. Housing, clearly an issue, issues of health insurance. I love this this quote here by Jones. Achieving health equity, that is making opportunities available and accessible to everyone. Achieving health equity requires valuing all individuals and populations equally, recognizing and rectifying historical injustices, and providing resources according to need. Reparations is not a solution that is going to happen here just within South Bend. It's going to take a more national, a national fix, if you will. And I'm not suggesting to anybody on this slide that I would know how to do this. It'll take a lot more study and understanding. There's no question in my mind that if reparations are ever to occur here in this country, it's going to have to start at the level of the community. Health is produced over the life course and across generations. The slides I showed you clearly illustrate that. And any effort in the present to level the wealth playing field could reset the potential wealth and assets and consequent health of future generations. And if the health of South Bend improved such that all individuals had achieved the same outcomes that a segment of our population has achieved, in fact, we would all be wealthier and would be better in the end for it. So our strategic plan, the Department of Health strategic plan for 2024, I've had the privilege of putting together with my team of 50 individuals, staff members, our Board of Health, with a lot of input from a number of community members, elected leaders. And I'll just give a very high level view of our strategic plan, happy to share it with anybody. It's publicly available. But we hope to accomplish these 5 goals. We recognize that this must be evidence-based. Anything that we do to address disparities will have to be evidence-based. I appreciated that Marco Mariani in his discussion about housing said basically this, he almost quoted the same verbiage, the same language. In order to do that, we need a health information system that's far more robust than what we have right now. Candidly, the health system has, the health department has, in our county and our city, has an impoverished information system currently, and we're going to need to do better. Number 2, we need to be equity focused. And one of the first steps in doing that was we created the new Health Equity and Epidemiology and Data Division since I came on board in January, and credit goes to Dr. Mark Fox, Cassie White, and others for this. We need to mobilize resources to address health disparities. We recognize we have to take a leadership role in doing that. Clearly, we need to address social factors impacting health, and we have to take a more leadership and a coordinating role there. We have statutory requirements. This is what, you know, people, if you talk to older folks, they call me the health inspector, not the health officer, because in the old days, if you will, up really to the present, a lot of people think of the Department of Health as the entity that simply inspects foods establishments and inspects sewers and septic systems. And of course, in my view, the role of the health department is far beyond that, which is not to say, though, that we don't need to continue to do these requirements and meet these statutory requirements. In fact, we have to, because meeting those statutory requirements, though not very sexy, not very glamorous, indeed keep our community healthy. And then so obvious to everybody on this Zoom call is the need to control the spread of viral illnesses, particularly SARS-CoV-2. So with that, I'd just like to, again, thank you. It's been a real pleasure for me to have the opportunity to listen to the perspectives over the last week, and quite frankly, a real pleasure for me to have become a member of this community. In full candor, it's been very difficult coming on board. I like to say St. Joe County greeted me or welcomed me with a pandemic. And this particular pandemic has meant that I've not been able to get out into the churches, into the homes of people anywhere near as much as I would wish to have done. It's been a bit of an uphill challenge. That said, I'm impressed that our elected leaders and the individuals with whom I meet and all of you indeed are pulling together for common cause, and I have a lot of hope for the future. Again, to quote the Bee Gees, we belong to you and me, and I look forward to responding to any questions and listening to your comments. Thank you, Grant.
Bob, thanks so much. There's so much packed into everything you just said. I mean, you covered so much, and then having the graphs to be able to illustrate what you were saying was super helpful. So thank you for having that.
And I'll have to try to get out of the share screen here, right?
While you do that, Bill and I would like to invite everyone here on the call. You're welcome to do it in the chat if you'd like. You're welcome to come off mute and ask that way. But we'd like to invite you to do some Q&A with the doctor here, and we can have a chat around things that maybe came up this week, maybe that are on your mind, or maybe that the doctor just brought up just now.
Can't get out of my share screen, so apologies for that. Let's see how I do this.
Let's see. There.
Did you get me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Who has a question?
Well, I have a
I
question.
know you do, Marilyn.
Well, of course, health is a major concern of mine. But why are the people that have private insurance faring better than the people that are on Medicaid? Why are the outcomes better for those with private insurance?
I think there are a number of reasons for this, and it's not just the insurance alone. I think there are other factors that come into play here, that individuals who are on Medicaid have overall less wealth than individuals who have private insurance. The reimbursement of Medicaid is less than certain private insurance, and so some health providers will not accept it. There's a stigma associated with Medicaid. One of the presentations, I can't remember if it was on the United South Bend presentation or another one that I listened to, talked about the stigma of on Medicaid. We don't talk about people being on insurance. We talk about people being on Medicaid, so it's stigmatizing. And I'll be perfectly blunt, healthcare providers, not all healthcare providers, but some healthcare providers, as soon as they see on Medicaid, they treat those individuals like second-class citizens. There needs to be a commitment to one essential standard of care for all people. And the reality is we've not achieved that. We're not even close to achieving that here in the United States. And so the stigma of being on Medicaid contributes to that. So go ahead.
So from some of my observations, how do I want to put this? Is there work in the planning for increased awareness of adverse childhood experiences among our medical practitioners? I work with a number of, I'm a local pastor, and I work with a number of impoverished people who've often, I would say one of the reasons for those health disparities is they're not even used to being able to go to the doctor. So those habits for many of the people I work with of, oh, I'm sick, I should go to the doctor, rather than wait until it's bad enough to go to the emergency room, those take years to develop. But I've also noticed when I've been, for example, in the emergency room with some of my parishioners, that there's very little awareness there, or just recently in labor and delivery, of ways in which adverse childhood experiences might be shaping the patient's interaction with hospital staff, and very little patience with those patients.
I don't think we can overstate the importance and the adverse consequences associated with adverse childhood experiences. Let me take a step back. The whole idea of adverse childhood experiences is at least as it relates to its impact on adulthood, is a relatively new idea. That is relatively new in the last 30 years. When I was in medical school in the 70s and in my residency in the 80s, we didn't talk about adverse childhood experiences. The whole notion of adverse childhood experiences came out of research that was done in the early 1990s and is now begun to permeate all medical schools and medical education and nursing, et cetera. But it's still not widely known outside of pediatrics even. And things such as ACE scores, you ask the average internist what an ACE score is. The family medicine doc might know, the average internist may not, and the subspecialist is probably beyond them. Not cognitively beyond them, but they've never heard of it. And so in answer to your question, Terry, yes, we're very much committed to addressing the problem of adverse childhood experiences and in fact, moving even upstream to working to prevent adverse childhood experiences, though we recognize it's going to take the proverbial village to do that. One of the barriers is just what you're pointing out, though it's just one. One of the barriers is just ensuring that medical professionals have adequate knowledge about adverse childhood experiences. And so we have one of the fellows from Notre Dame is focusing this year on adverse childhood experiences. We recognize that there are a number of organizations within South Bend and within St. Joe County who are engaged in adverse childhood experiences. We do recognize as well, though, that there's not as much coordination as there could be. There's a bit more siloing. This is natural, I'm not pointing fingers, but there is an opportunity here to break down these silos, work more collaboratively, address more of the prevention side, not just the resiliency side of adverse childhood experiences, educate providers and really all of us more about trauma-informed care. And we see a role for the St. Joe County Department of Health as a coordinating body here to be able to, and not just coordinating, networking is just the first step, but really getting to collaboration and true partnership. And I see that as the role of the St. Joe County Department of Health.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear that. I wonder whether it might not be just as well, or just differently effective, not simply to increase awareness among the physicians, but also in terms of the nursing staff and the security staff, and essentially the people who are the frontline people who first encounter a patient, because so often the patient is already alienated by the time the doctor walks in the room.
I think most people don't recognize that adverse childhood experiences actually cause structural changes in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
They change the anatomy of the brain of a child, and I'm going to literally change it. And this then can manifest in adulthood.
Right.
So yeah, no question that this is not the purview of just the medical profession. This is the purview of the community and every aspect, everything from first responders to housekeepers. I agree.
Thank you.
Bob, can you address nationally what's going on? Because locally, I hear about these issues much more than I hear from the government. And because I interface with Leah Hopper and Michael Kozak a lot on committees and stuff, I know about these disparities, but how come our political candidates aren't talking about this more, and the interconnection between racism, disparity, and health.
Yeah.
Why do-
Yeah, it is happening at the national scene. My daughter, for example, worked up until last week. She took a new job, but worked as a legislative assistant for Catherine Clark, who's a Democrat out of Massachusetts. And these issues are front and center on Catherine Clark's desk. And so they are dealing with it. It's unfortunate that it does not get more of a spotlight shined on it by our national candidates, Biden and Trump and others. And for that matter, it's rare, it seems to me, that we hear it among our House of Representatives and senators when they're candidates for their offices. So I am guessing that these are complex issues that don't lend themselves to sound bites. But honestly, Bill, you know, political science is probably about what I'm worst in. And so I don't really know for sure. You know, I'm curious. Diana's on the phone here. And what do you think, Diana? Why don't we hear more about this at the national or even state level?
Well, that's a good question. You mean, Bill, are you talking about disparities overall, the adverse childhood experiences, or?
Disparities overall, racism overall. I mean, the social determinants that affect health. I mean, I do hear about it locally a lot, and I talk about it locally, but when I don't really hear it nationally as much.
Well, I think, certainly nationally, there's a lot of struggle right now with just trying to control the pandemic, trying to get through this election. There's chaos being sown everywhere, it seems. So, of course, I am a partisan. So I would say that probably more of the conversation is coming from the Democratic side. There's certainly been an interest. We can't even get relief passed for the states, local governments, small businesses, individuals who are losing their jobs. We can't even get that through our Congress right now. It's stymied, particularly in the Senate. So you are hearing some of that at that level. So I think there's the pandemic has really, I think, highlighted, as we all know, exposed the inequities that were already there. And hopefully moving forward, as we move through this and past this pandemic, we'll be addressing those as we go along. So that's my take on it.
Plus, I think that Black Lives Matter has brought stuff to the forefront too. So it's talked about a lot.
May I ask a question? Locally, we have a group working on reparations, and we've talked a lot about housing and education and the wealth gap. I'd be curious about locally how you see reparations in healthcare. One of the things you mentioned was reparations, how you would see reparations in healthcare on a local level.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that there is a group. I was not aware that there's a group working on reparations. I'd love to learn more about that. I'm not sure I fully understand your question, Conrad, but at the very least, it will not surprise you that I'm a huge believer in universal health insurance and probably single payer health insurance. So is what I personally believe is how one could achieve reparations that would be focused in the health sector. So yeah. In addition, we have the system here in St. Joe County and in South Bend, candidly, has a few flaws in it. I see Terry. You know, Indianapolis is not is not perfect by any means. But the one thing that we were able to do in Indianapolis is that individuals who were very low income, we were able within Wishart Hospital, now called Eskenazi Hospital, we were truly able to deliver one standard of care for all people, and there was a commitment to essential health care for all individuals. And I would like to say that at that hospital, you know, you didn't have to look inside somebody's wallet before you would admit them to the hospital. And part of the reason that we had this, of course, is historical in terms of how the hospital evolved over time, but also there is a commitment within Marion County of the city and the county working together through the Unigov that exists there. Here within South Bend, we have this terrible fractured system. You know, you've got Memorial over here, and you got St. Joe over here, and you got federally qualified health centers over there. I do not see in this town this commitment to providing an essential standard of care, one essential standard of care for all people. And it's due to, and it's not these hospitals' fault and it's not the FQHC fault. It's the way the system is put together here. And we need to change, opinion would be we need to change that system. Now, if we got universal health insurance, that would be a huge step in that direction. And that way individuals wouldn't have to choose, you know, would have much more choice in where they go. So there would be competition among providers, of course, and I'm a big believer in competition, but there would be no competition for the insurance. It's my thought.
If I could add, you were talking about Wishart, and I'm familiar with Wishart. And one of the things that I found that they did that was really outstanding was they offered an insurance program to the public. So I could literally be insured by the hospital. And if I went to that hospital for anything medically, I was covered.
Well, this is the county. This is exactly right. So this is their Wishart Advantage program, and now it's called something else with Eskenazi. The name just changed. But this is the county event, the county and the city working together, so Indianapolis and the county all together, basically saying, we're going to make this happen. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to create two different levels of care. Mm-hmm. And they did it. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I ran a health center on the near west side of Indianapolis. I can't give names here, but I could say that individuals, my colleagues came to see me there, individuals at the highest level of Indiana University, not the highest, not the president, but kind of the next tier down would come to see me there, and they would be sitting there right next to individuals who are living in relative poverty on the near west side of Indianapolis. It worked. Mm-hmm. But there needs to be that commitment at the leadership level. And of course, the other thing that the hospital did, Wishart did very nicely, is it was committed to the community, is committed to the community. And we need to see that as well. And again, I have nothing against Memorial or St. Joe. This is not their fault that they can't be more accommodating of everyone in our population. They too are a victim of a system that has fragmented healthcare in the United States.
I wonder, hi, Abigail, I've had my hand raised, trying to jump in, it's a little hard, but on that point, I just kind of wonder, and I'll tie it into my actual question, why can't we critique systems like Memorial? Why are we afraid of what I think potentially holds us back as white fragility? you know, coming from an understanding that, you know, seeing our faults as a scientist and learning from our failures, and then religiously understanding the importance of repentance or confession, I feel like, you know, Memorial is not addressing this systematically. Because if they addressed it systematically, they would say, this is where we fail. We fail in X, we fail in Y, we fail in Z, and we need help from A, B, and C. So let's create a system map and let's take ownership for how we fail. Now, the problem is we have lawyers. And so as soon as you admit anything, you have problems. So I'm gonna let that go and just kind of make it more practical. So for me, practically, I am working with students. This is my question with you about trauma. And my research lab last year, and this year as well, is all African-American, all Black actually. And so I have students who have come to my lab crying, who have come because they were accused of plagiarism falsely. One in particular who's incredibly brilliant, accused not only once, but twice. In fact, when the third time she was accused, the honor code board at Notre Dame said, no, she's a brilliant writer. But I wonder how much ownership we should have in the trauma we cause, just our students. And I'll say that, you know, I'm creating personally a list of counselors that I know. These counselors have been educated about what it means to be a Black student at a predominantly white school, period. And then, you know, I have the students who have been going through different things, and, you know, I have this list and they go to see Black counselors, or at least counselors. And this is outside of Notre Dame. So this semester, one of the students said, you know, he got permission to not see a Notre Dame counselor, but it was a big issue. I wonder what white fragility plays into our system, because he is unable to tell the system, I'm doing better because I have a Black counselor who understands Black issues and speaking to Black issues. So when we think of the healthcare system, I don't know how we balance the trauma on one hand, which people need to understand and is real and affects people's education in healthcare. And on the other hand, the white fragility we own. Like, I can say I have failed my students. I didn't understand the system. I'm learning to understand the system. How can I do better? And I just wonder what are we doing when we want to have a caveat to that, and how can we move forward, because counseling is such a big issue on this, even in healthcare. And I'm just curious what your thoughts about it. By the way, I loved your talk. It was awesome. I was just simply cheering back. I loved all the statistics, all the graphs. I mean, Dia and I have talked, and others and I have talked. I loved it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You brought up a number of different topics, and let me go through a couple of them to the degree that I can. First, I really hesitate, and I think we're pointing fingers in the wrong direction. And if we point them at the hospital system, it's not their fault. I'm not saying they're perfect. They have issues and they have problems, and all of us can do better. But they have to meet their bottom line. They have to recognize, reimbursement in the United States for a procedure, as opposed to a cognitive skill, is much greater for the procedure. The reimbursement for caring for someone with COVID, I could be in an intensive care unit, for a day, and may not make anywhere near, and will not make the sort of get the sort of reimbursement that a orthopedic surgeon would make replacing a knee. I'm not saying one is right or actually I am saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm saying that the way healthcare is financed in the United States does not favor public health. It does not favor primary care. You go back to the Alma Ata, Declaration of Alma Ata. Alma Ata said the key to achieving health for all by the year 2000, we're now 2020, key is primary care. And yet we don't invest in primary care here, and we don't finance our healthcare to support primary care. The hospitals need to meet their bottom line. I'm not an apologist for the hospitals for the things that they could do better, but if they don't meet their bottom line, they'll go belly up. Our healthcare system, the way it's financed, simply needs to change. And that's all of us. Were you
Can I
gonna
just
say
ask a simple question, I guess? Is there a doctor shortage or practice shortage in South Bend? Because getting in to see a physician, there's a wait. Getting a referral for a specialist can be denied, or you have to go through appeals to jump through hoops. Is there a shortage in the medical field?
Well,
and Bob, sorry to interrupt real quick. Cheryl, that'll be our last question we'll do for the Q&A, and then we'll move on to awards. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Well, and it's an unfortunate last question because I don't know the answer to it. Is it whether there is a shortage or not? The issue about being denied, there is shortages of primary care doctors around the state. Whether it is in South Bend specific or not, I'm not up to speed on that one. I've not looked at the data on how long it takes to get into a primary care physician. I do know that we have here in South Bend, and this is me speaking as an Indianapolis physician, really some terrific docs here. Docs and nurses, the healthcare professionals up here in the South Bend, and your systems, your Memorial and your Beacon system and your St. Joe system are looked upon with a lot of respect by those of us who were down in Indianapolis. So no question about that. But whether there is an adequate number, I don't know. As your question or your comment related to you've been denied on seeing a specialist, that generally has nothing to do with the availability of the specialist and everything to do with the insurance company that is making a decision as to whether it was an appropriate referral or not. There are some subspecialists, there is shortage in some subspecialists here in South Bend, but that's a discussion for another.
Discussion for another day. Well, thanks, Doctor. We appreciate the presentation, you taking the time this morning, and especially the work you're doing literally every day to bring us the information you have and then lead our area like you have. So we appreciate you.
Grant, can I make a quick announcement?
Please.
The Civil Rights Heritage Center next Tuesday at 6 o'clock is doing a presentation with the health department on racism as a public health crisis, intersections between healthcare and social justice. That's at 6 on Tuesday night. So if you guys want to continue the discussion, it's going to be happening there. Thank you.
Okay, onward we go. 11:47. We have a little bit of time here for us to do our awards. Started last year at the 2019 first annual. We have some awards to hand out. We have 6, and we'd like to move through those. So Bill, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Which one is first?
Here on the, do you see the screen, the Neighborhood Association of the Year?
Oh, I do. Sorry.
Yep.
The Neighborhood Association of the Year award, this award goes to a volunteer neighborhood association which has had a record of successful service to its neighborhood and has made a difference in South Bend. This year it goes to SOAR, Southeast Organized Area Residents. SOAR recognized the need for a voice in their neighborhood and was missing from the conversations around 466 Works and other activities directly affecting their neighborhood. They worked diligently to activate their voice through their organization. SOAR neighbors were persistent and patient as organizers led by Conrad Damien. Thanks, Conrad. They gathered together neighbors to lay groundwork to relaunch their neighborhood association with much success. They recruited representation for their leadership team from all sections of their neighborhood, making SOAR a diverse and effective voice for their neighborhood and in the city. With assistance from the Bowman Creek team and the NRC, they held successful annual neighborhood picnics, which involved the participation of all their diverse members. I went to one of their picnics, which was great, met a lot of kind people, and was pressed by the numbers of residents that were involved. They used their voice to support 466 Works and questioned the validity of homeless pod projects in their neighborhood. Because of their effectiveness on many issues and projects, the city recognizes them as a strong neighborhood association, a force to be reckoned with. So go SOAR. And congratulations, SOAR, you deserve it.
Hello, my name is Barbara Mosby, and I would like to thank you for the Neighborhood Association of the Year award. It is very, very much appreciated. Thank you again, and God bless you.
The award. We are so proud to be a part of SOAR team. Yay!
Thank you for the award. We are proud to be a part of the SOAR team. Yay!
Thank you so much.
Hi there. My name is Etta Williams, and I want to thank everyone for that award. Second Annual Neighborhood Association Award. Thank you very much. Be safe out there until we meet again.
Thank you so much.
We're so happy to live here.
We are all extremely honored and very grateful for this award. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, really appreciate it.
Hello, proud Southeast resident here. I'm so excited that we received the Neighborhood Association of the Year award. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Zora Littler with SOARS. I want to thank you for the recognition for the neighborhood.
Thank you, NRC, for selecting SOAR its second annual Neighborhood Association of the Year award.
Thank you, NRC, for recognizing SOAR for this award. SOAR, this is an awesome accomplishment. Southeast Side, get involved with your city and get involved with your community. Thank you.
Right, Kia, you're up.
All righty, thank you. So the next award is the Business Partner of the Year. This award goes to a person or business in the for-profit arena, which has, through volunteerism, organization, or financial support, assisted a neighborhood or neighborhoods to achieve its goals and improve its area. And the recipient of this award goes to the Lowell's team, specifically the one in South Bend. The Lowe's team has provided supplies and materials for multiple communities in South Bend. They prioritized not only supplying our community with what they needed, they came out to the streets to help clean up. They've helped mow lawns, and they did so multiple times. Thank you to the Lowe's team for your commitment, your community, and thank you for getting involved. Thank you, Lowe's.
And our local Lowe's manager, Mike, wanted to apologize on the video. He said his corporate team are coming in on Tuesday, and he goes, "We'll give you a picture, but we're not gonna commit to a video this week." And Bill?
Partner of the Year award. This award goes to a nonprofit organization partner working with one or more neighborhoods to improve the area. And this year, the award goes to the South Bend Heritage Foundation. So congratulations. Over the years, South Bend Heritage has provided meeting and event space to NRC for roundtables and programs such as the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. They have been a partner with us for many, many years. South Bend Heritage committed staff to supporting NRC initiatives. Dea Andrews and Gladys Mohammed helped with the development of the Neighborhood Leadership Academy, plus roundtables and workshops. Marco has consistently participated in NRC roundtables and reaches out to neighborhood organizations, keeping neighbors informed. They are studying the feasibility of building duplexes in a lot behind my house and reach out to the neighborhood and myself so that we could have a voice in the project. And thank you so much for doing that. They are a partner to the community in many neighborhoods working to improve quality of life and providing much needed low income housing for South Bend residents. South Bend Heritage started out as Southold Heritage, where a small group of neighbors concerned with preserving historic architecture, along with the vision of Jeff Gibney and others, that grew into a development corporation it is today, which grew into the development corporation that it is today. They have contributed significantly to the neighborhood I reside in, the Near West Side, and have been actively involved in the Near West Side neighborhood organization. When the Near Northwest neighbors aspired to do something similar in their neighborhood, South Bend Heritage mentored and assisted them, and they grew into the NNN Inc. Community Development Corporation. I am lucky enough to own a South Bend Heritage house, and I can say emphatically that I love my house, and so do all my friends. My garden and house keep me safe and sane in South Bend. Thank you, South Bend Heritage, for all you do in our community. Marco.
Hi everybody, Marco Mariani here, South Bend Heritage Foundation. I'm so pleased to accept the Partner of the Year Award 2020 from the Neighborhood Resources Connection. This is an honor, it means a lot. South Bend Heritage has a long history with the Neighborhood Resources Connection, and we're just so pleased. On behalf of the entire South Bend Heritage Foundation Board, just want to offer our thanks to the NRC Board and for all their hard work, and for recognizing South Bend Heritage's, our work in housing in the community across a wide variety of populations. So we're just pleased to get this award. We'll display it with pride. We look forward to many more years to come and for working with the Neighborhood Resources Connection. Thanks, everybody.
That's great.
Hi, everybody.
All right. The Public Servant of the Year Award. Kia?
This award goes to a person who fosters and practices government-neighborhood cooperation, and the nominated candidate has contributed to the improvements of one or more neighborhoods. This person nominated may be an elected official or city employee. This year, we would like to recognize Karen White for her leadership. For 20 years, Karen has prioritized family, community, and education on the Common Council Board. Karen believes that service is the rent we pay for living, and we see that with her involvement in groups across our community, and is the only African American who has served both as the president of the South Bend Community School Corporation Board of Directors and as president of the South Bend Common Council. Thank you, Karen White.
Hello, my name is Karen White. I'm currently president of the South Bend Common Council, where I have served over 20 years. Today, it is an honor to accept the Public Servant Award from NRC. My philosophy is that a city cannot be great without great neighborhoods, without great citizens. I have worked to ensure that our citizens, that they have a voice, and that voice can be used as we move forward in terms of developing policies, but most importantly, programs that will directly impact them. It is a pleasure to really work with our citizens and to see the level of engagement that they have done over the years. So again, a city cannot be great without great citizens.
All right, moving forward. This is excuse me, a special one, and we have Diana Hess on the line here, and so this is your award. Diana, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I am pleased this year to announce that the winner of this award, the Diana Hess Faithful Service Award, is Conrad Damien. Conrad is the embodiment of tireless servant leadership from his very active days in the Southeast Side PAC Neighborhood Association back in the 1970s to his current role in the Southeast Organized Area Residents Neighborhood Association. He has modeled leadership, inspiring others around him to join him in his quest for social, economic, and racial justice. He has devoted thousands of volunteer hours at Broadway Christian Church over the past 45 years, where he developed the free Sunday community dinner in 1982 and continues to this day to serve as its coordinator. And it's a lot of work. He was also instrumental in the development of such organizations as AIDS Ministries, AIDS Assist, was president of the Indiana Housing Coalition, and helped establish the Boys and Girls Club in 1974. During those years, he also mentored hundreds of students as a teacher with the South Bend Community Schools. And many of his students have followed in his footsteps as leaders in our community today. It is my honor to recognize Conrad with this award.
Thank you very much, Diana, and thanks to the NRC and your Neighborhoods United South Bend. I really appreciate this. You know, working in your neighborhood not only allows you to work with great people in your neighborhood, but it allows you to grow in so many ways and to meet people who are doing good work throughout the city. Some in government, some in other neighborhoods, some in private business, some in other not-for-profits. That's been the great joy of working over these 50 years in neighborhood services. And I really have enjoyed myself. So I thank you very, very much.
Okay. Thanks, Diana. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to give your award. And I guess thanks need to be also offered back to you for putting the foundation work in to having an award named after you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I was honored last year to have the award, to receive the award, which was a surprise to me. So thank you.
Okay. Our next and final award is the Emergent Leader Award, and we'll bring Kia back on for this final award.
So this award goes to a person under the age of 35 who has brought new energy to their neighborhood association and take responsibilities that will help the organization move successfully into the future. So this year, we would like to recognize Jonathan Jones for the Emergent Leader Award for his work around South Bend. Jonathan's role as the Director of Recreation, his work within communities across our city. Beyond that, Jonathan attends events, meets individually, and keeps the priority on the community that he serves. We thank Jonathan for his leadership and look forward to continued impact from his work. Thank you, Jonathan.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Jones, Director of Recreation for South Bend Venues, Parks and Arts. And I'm thoroughly surprised but thankful for this award. With Venues, Parks, and Arts, we desire to inspire a more livable South Bend, and especially in our recreation division, we're always focused on cultivating recreational activities that just unite our city. And so that's what I work hard to do day in and day out, and I'm very thankful for the recognition from Neighborhoods United South Bend for this award. And so thank you guys, much appreciated.
Very good. Okay.
Hi, my name is
That will
Jonathan Jones.
conclude our award section of the summit for 2020. Lots of work that went on either virtually or in person. We're just thankful that we were able to hand out some awards, discuss with people what they are, and then be able to present them to you. So we're grateful for the ability to even do that during this 2020 time. So thank you everyone who coordinated. Hey, Marilyn, would you hit mute quick?
I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you to everyone who helped coordinate the awards, everyone who helped make them possible, and then, of course, the work that went into recognizing people for the work they're doing every day. Bill, I'd love to hand off the next steps to you and Daryl and Charlotte.
Sure.
Is that good?
Yeah. So to wrap up the summit, we are looking for action-oriented solutions for South Bend. We've talked about a lot of topics over the last week, a lot of serious topics for South Bend. So we've asked Charlotte and Daryl to come up, go through the paperwork and come up with what they view as the most important issues. And of course, we're going to open up the mic later, and you guys can also discuss what you learned during the week, but also what you think is important. So hello, Charlotte and Daryl.
Hello, how is everybody?
Hello, everyone.
So we'd like to do a share screen. Have you allowed us to do that, or can I just do it on my own?
You can do it.
You can do it.
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, Daryl and I want to say hello. I think we probably know everyone, but the one thing I would want to say before we start working, and that is that so proud to have witnessed these awards. Everyone that you gave an award to, I've worked with for years, and they so deserve it. And it's just wonderful to see people recognized. In other words, don't bring us flowers at our funeral. Recognize us now.
I just want to second that. I mean,
yes, and you all have always done such a great job of that. And I just thank you so much. And I'm always honored to be a part of, neighborhoods. That's my thing. I love neighborhoods. And anything I can do to support neighborhood development, neighborhood sustainability, I'm always ready to do. So, Daryl, did you want to say a few words?
Nope, you said it all, and thank you for starting us off that way. Because everyone who received an award, thank you for everything that you're doing and that you will do. And you have me and Charlotte's support for sure.
And I'm going to say, as an elder, I am so thrilled to be working with Daryl Heller.
Who's not an elder, by the way.
Huh?
Who is not an elder.
No, but I am. I'm bragging. I'm bragging. Right, Conrad? We're bragging. And so Daryl Heller came to our community and just took it by storm and made it even better. It's just such an honor to have a young person come to our community, embrace us and love us as Daryl has. So I just have to say that to Daryl.
Thank you, Charlotte.
All righty, so we're gonna try to do this share screen thing. See if
all the love, Daryl.
All giving back for sure.
Okay,
How we start and end every session.
I think I messed up already. Let me try it again. Let's see. So. I think I can't do it. I don't think I did it right. Oh, I did do it right. Yay.
What is happening? There you go.
So First of all, I just want to, I know that there were many other people there, and you all did such fine work. I have worked in this South Bend community since 1965, actually. And it just warms my heart when I see people get out there, not give up on the neighborhoods, not give up on each other. And so Daryl and I looked over all the different initiatives and the action items and just different things that you all mentioned. And we saw 6 themes: COVID, employment, homelessness, housing, technology, and trust. And then a little later on, we're going to ask you to add to it. So Daryl, why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
Okay, and I'm actually going to start from the bottom, if that's okay. The issue of trust, I mean, which is fundamental to the fabric of any community, of any neighborhood, is that neighbors trust each other. And the role that the NRC has played in establishing that and developing it has been critical. So the revitalization of the Neighborhood Resource Connections Neighborhood Association quilt was one of the things that we wanted, kind of that mosaic and stitching together the diversity that makes this community and all of our communities in South Bend what they are, is the ongoing and need to continue to recognize that. Also, there's a growing, and I think an critically important discussion about restorative justice and using alternatives to punitive methods of addressing harms or wrongs or crimes or whatever may happen to bring conflict between people and between individuals and institutions as well. But for one action item to think about over the next bit of time, and as an ongoing and consistent conversation and implementation, is developing a restorative justice model for neighborhoods within the school corporation, within the criminal justice system, and just within all of the community serving organizations, like the Neighborhood Resource Center, like the municipality, like the business and faith communities. But that we need to broaden that discussion and find creative ways to be able to create new kinds of relationships with one another as a fundamental action item to build increased trust amongst one another. Charlotte?
Okay, and it's hard to pick, but I'm going to go with one of my favorites, housing, especially in light of the awards you gave today. So we noticed that a lot of people, and by the way, these 6 items tie in a lot of the information you all were discussing. So the issue of housing, number one, organize a meeting with local housing. A suggestion would be, a lot of people talked about housing. I saw tiny houses. By the way, I love tiny houses. I'd love to see in every side of town that maybe a block or two be developed to tiny houses. Not only would it address homelessness, but also there are a lot of people, boomers. Do you know that 10,000 boomers retire every day in this country? And we live in these big houses where we raised and loved our families, but they're out. The houses are, it's just us rolling around in these homes. But yet we still, one of the wonderful things about being a boomer, by the way, neither Biden or Trump are boomers. Stop calling them boomers. They're not boomers. Boomers were born in 1946, and I was born in 1947. We are the most educated group of human beings in the world, are the boomers. And we benefited from what the doctor just said earlier, from a fine health system. By the way, it's not fine anymore. So we got educated and health, and we have a little bit of money left over to do some good things. So when you think about all the different issues about housing, organize, I would say a suggestion was, look at all the different developments that are going on around South Bend. You've got the NNN, you've got South Bend Heritage, you've got the Neighborhood Development Center, Thrive, And of course, we have to have Professor Judy Fox, who can tell us about the foreclosures and the issues, the problems that are going on with housing. But a suggestion would be to bring all those people together and have them give a report card. What are you doing? How's it going? What more needs to happen? How can we help? And in fact, I would encourage you to have them do a report card once a year. Every year they ought to be reporting on what they're doing and what kind of obstacles they're running into, so that we, the city, are all involved and can give input. Daryl?
Great, thank you, Charlotte. And I'm just gonna go right below that, in between trust, into technology. Technology came up in several different iterations, but one idea was to gather people with IT and AP skills to develop a new virtual model to connect people. And really what people talked about was how to develop neighborhood dashboards for your neighborhood or community to facilitate making connections with local partners. And one of the kind of the double-edged sword of the pandemic is that we're all using technology now as a way of continuing our social relations, and to continue activities, either through Zoom or Teams or whatever platform, but that we need to harness this new movement of technology. And what it does, in a sense, is allow us to connect our communities and our neighborhoods with the rest of the world in a way that we hadn't really even thought about before, that we can actually have a meeting or an event and attract people from around the country that wouldn't be possible in the past. So creating the kinds of neighborhood dashboards that actually can highlight what's going on in the community, what the relationships are, and taking that technology and expanding it to connect neighborhoods with one another as well, both within neighborhoods, but also between neighborhoods. And developing new and creative ideas and mechanisms to build that over the next period of time.
I'm going to go, again, they all go together. I'm going to bring up COVID. Again, I saw that, isn't it wonderful, our Board of Health came up with a way making racism a health crisis. Racism in this country has always been in the wrong place. It was always put on the heads of the victims, the Black people, brown people, Asian people, and other immigrants. Also poor white people. I always want to remind you, poor white people are included also. And so in this year, because of COVID, so you know the Chinese symbol for chaos is also opportunity. So out of this chaos, out of this horror, we can take the opportunity. What can we do to benefit from this? Well, it's one thing to come up with a commitment, a statement. What are they going to do to follow through with that statement? So many institutions have statements, but they're hollow because nothing comes from them. So again, I want to continue to remind neighborhoods, because all of this stuff affects us, to hold people accountable. Don't just give them credit from coming up with a statement. That's great. What are you going to do with that statement? I want to remind us the opportunity, because of COVID, when George Floyd was murdered, we actually, because we were stuck at home and couldn't go out running around like I and all the rest of us do, we had to watch a man for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We watched him die. We watched and heard him cry out for his mother. We watched as other people who were present, people got nervous and they were like, hey, don't you think you should let him up? That affected us. And a lot of the reporting was fear, crime. A lot of people talked about being afraid, PTSD. Don't throw that word around lightly. A lot of that was interspersed with the discussions this year. I want to challenge us, we neighborhood people, we neighborhood associations, to hold the Board of Health accountable. What are they going to do about this statement? Daryl?
Yes, and I would just want to add on to that, and it's just something that came into the chat as well, is that not only do we need to hold the board accountable, the Board of Health accountable for that statement, but we need to hold each other accountable as well. That we need to, I would like each of us to think that if we were present as we witnessed the murder of George Floyd, that we would have actually responded in a way beyond just being a witness. But it's incumbent upon all of us as neighbors, as community members, as part of this quilt that we're talking about building, that we not only hold each other accountable, but that we support one another in that process as well. So COVID has kind of created a whole different way that we need to think about how we're responding, how we're relating to one another, which will tie into what the next item that came up in various iterations was the issue of employment. And so as we know this, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're also in the middle of climbing out of a recession that's pandemic affected. So we need to use the resources that we have in our community and in our city to connect people with jobs, using Work One, the mayor's office for economic development, and various institutions like Ivy Tech, like IUSB, like Proteus, organizations that really focus on employment, and particularly for those who are the most vulnerable. We know that what COVID has done is increase the wealth gap in the sense that white collar workers who can work from home are actually doing pretty well. But a number of service workers and low wage workers are being laid off. So we need to find a foundation to ensure that the members in our community have what they need, have the resources available to them, the training, and for us to continue to find and connect people to not just jobs, but good paying jobs, jobs that actually provide a living wage. And for us as a community to continue to push for living wage policies so that our community members, have what they need. So, it's kind of taking our what existing resources and building and strengthening them.
And last but hardly least, homelessness was mentioned in all different iterations all week. And so I just wanted, and just in case you didn't know, when Mayor Pete was the mayor, he started a working initiative on homelessness, and it kind of fizzled out, but Mayor Mueller has resurrected it. And just in case you all don't know, another wonderful young man who's joined our community is Jordan Gathers. And he works out of the mayor's office. He's fantastic. And he too is heading up this initiative on homelessness. And so again, I want to continue to let neighborhood organizations and associations know how powerful we are. We are powerful beyond measure. And when we make noise, and when we take ourselves seriously, the city and the county and the state will also take us seriously. But what I mean by that is invite Jordan Gathers. Maybe NRC can invite him to address all of the neighborhood associations and ask him to give us a report card. What are you doing? What's different about this initiative than Mayor Pete's initiative? How's it going? Don't forget us. How can we help? So now, Daryl and I want to make sure that A, you can comment on what we've said, and B, have we left something off? Because we want to add anything that's on your minds that we've left off. So I guess, Grant, we can go back. I should should I stop share?
Yes.
We'll have a discussion, yeah. Thank you for taking the time to digest all of the week, pull out what it is you thought was a priority or patterns, anomalies you saw, and then be able to spend the time this morning to present it to us. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to ask about, but let's have.
I have two comments. Who's talking now? I have two comments. And one has to do with the technology. And I think one of the things we have to focus on as well is bringing up the people around us who are not as familiar with it. We talk about technology and what it can do for us in the future, and we have a lot of people around here who do not know how to use that. We need to draw them together, draw them along, find other ways of communicating if they can't do the technology part. But I don't want to leave them behind as we are moving ahead. My other comment has to do with trust. And this is a very small thing, but I think we should all practice that when we talk to people on the street, anywhere, that we look them in the eye, that we're not holding our cell phones, we're not doing other things like that, but even the stranger that you pass on the street and you say hello to, that you look them in the eye, even if they're going to ask you for money, you just tell them that you can't do that, but you still treat them as a human being. And I think if everyone begins, if that movement grows, that we're going to gain more and more trust.
May I just comment, Dea? You are so right. Yeah. And especially in this COVID environment that we have, people are desperate for some kind of connection. We can't hug each other anymore. We can't touch each other. But at least if we could look at each other, I see you. I see you. I acknowledge you. Yes.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I'll say some things. We all know that change happens slowly in South Bend. I have been pushing for dashboards in neighborhoods, but also an overall dashboard for every single resource in South Bend in our community to come together so that we can access each other. There's a lot of small things going on in town that they could partner easily with bigger things. And I believe that numbers make a difference, because I was in ACT UP in the early 80s and it took numbers to make change happen. So, you know, bringing people together, the idea of togetherness, sometimes I personally feel in South Bend that, you know, a separateness going on here. Separateness between the races, separateness in my community. So what do you guys think about the idea of separateness? How do we come together? How do we all go along? And how do we move forward? Anyone can jump in on that one.
I just want to say that, you know, we're, you know, willing to do whatever we can do to help with the dashboards. I think, you know, we've been working from our center with Danielle and Matt Sisk and other people. And I think, you know, we're happy to talk with different neighborhood organizations and so on and see if we can help on that front.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well, I would like to add to that, you know, I'm a political animal, small p and big P, okay? We, in addition to what Jay just said, wonderful, we need the county and the city to start working together. We really do. We can't just depend on the few people like Diana Hess and Karen White, you know, always those same people, tireless people that we see all the time. But after this election, no matter who gets elected, I would like to encourage all the members of NRC. I want you to be more demanding. Be more demanding. Go down to these meetings, all the meetings, and demand that the city and the county, in cooperation with Notre Dame IUSB, have this dashboard. You have to act like you deserve it. You have to make people know you deserve it, damn it. I hope everyone's old enough to hear the word damn it. I don't have to say it, but I do love to say it.
Bill, I would like to add, excuse me, I would like to see the United South Bend initiative added as a way that we can come together and something we could work on through the roundtables or however that was discussed in one of our meetings.
I think we have plans to do that. I also really like the South Bend Strong idea and that initiative that was talked about during the week. I think that is a really good one to bringing more and more people together and bringing into all neighborhoods.
And I just want to add and reiterate what Dea was suggesting with her first comment, that she kind of framed it in under the aegis of technology and making sure that we don't leave people behind as we develop more technologically. But I think that the bigger statement in that comment is that we're inclusive of everyone in the community, that we don't leave not only those who have no limited technology skills, but as looking people in the eye and including everyone within our community as a member of our community, that we're not writing anyone off, whether they're an ex-offender, whether they're poor, whether they're black or white, or what it is, that it takes all of us with all of the strength and challenges to make a community, and that we recognize that and keep that up front.
Intersectionality. I heard all through this week, people talked about race, they talked about GLBT issues, poverty issues, underserved populations. That's intersectionality. Every one of us does not just represent one thing. I am a woman, I am Black, I am elderly, I am a grandmother, on and on and on, and so are each one of you. And I hope that when the library returns to downtown South Bend, when they're taking up that whole block, we have to make sure that's one of the places that's located all over our city that can provide computers and technology for everyone. And so we just need to hold them to that, because that's our tax dollars.
Charlotte and Daryl, the initiatives of moving forward, like Marilyn's saying, the United SB initiative, the South Bend Strong that Michael created. Another one is Move South Bend, just moving South Bend. That's another initiative we have moving forward. But that intersectionality is a priority, and Daryl, adding even all those things and lists that we could categorize ourselves by, meeting people where they're at with them and just inviting them along. Like it's, leading with respect. Who are you? Where are you at? Meeting them there, and then just helping them move along together. Because if we can't move along together, then we're not moving anywhere. And so that's a priority for us, is to move along together, like you're saying.
May I add to that as we are helping people move along, that we recognize that we are learning as well. And we are letting people know that they are teaching us as well as we are teaching them. Otherwise, it's not going to be useful.
Dad, just a reminder that when all of us pass, whenever that day comes, none of us will know half of the things in the world there are to know. When we pass, we won't know half the things there are to know. So we're learning every day on the knowledge that we're not even going to know half the things there are to know. So if we're not learning every day, I don't know what else we're doing. So I love that you brought that up, that we should just admit that everyone's learning every day. And we'd like to help do that, yeah.
And everyone is teaching every day.
Oh, with love, yes. Quote you on that one.
I know this isn't a shy group, so please speak. Let me tell you what I hate the most about groups. And I've done it myself, so I know. After it's over, we say, well, my goodness, why didn't they bring up such and such? Right? Well, you bring it up. This is your chance to bring it up right now. Am I right, Marilyn? You know I'm right. I've done it myself. I know.
I mean, I'll back up what Bill said. We don't move fast enough. And I think the growth mindset is not pervasive enough. Born and raised here in the area, I travel to go learn what other communities are and do and feel like, and live there, because I wanted to get at the essence of how it felt to be in a community that's different from mine. And yeah, the growth mindset is not there. People lead with how we're different. People lead with what can't be done. People lead with how it is, and so that is how it is. And I lead with trust. You have all of my trust. All of you have all of my trust. First, that is first. And that's just the way I approach. And so I want to move forward together on what we want to do together, what we see as the vision of our own future, but yet our collective future. I want that growth mindset to be more pervasive. I want to hear what other people want to do, and then I want to do it with them.
Okay. So if I may add, we're talking about healthy neighborhoods. I mean, that's our theme. And I don't see, other than our keynote speaker, I don't see any of the hospitals represented here. I would like to see more involvement, some kind of health initiative, because obviously we have a problem in South Bend that was pointed out today. And somehow, I mean, even if, and I don't mean small people, I mean someone high up within management or CEO of the hospitals, even if they were part of your board, NRC, all the, NRC, St. Joe, there's Unity Hospital, there's Health Links, there's Beacon. But if there was also an initiative that involved them, because there's a lot of data out there. I think Terry was alluding to the fact, I know personally that in my community, people are afraid of doctors. They're afraid of healthcare. And a lot of it goes back to that syphilis project from years and years ago. And I know that when I was in the healthcare field, how if I met someone from my community, they would gravitate toward me and just open up in tears. I'm so glad to see you, because I was afraid they were going to do something. So anyway, I think there's an initiative and there's an opportunity for us to do something that would involve the health care community. And the discrepancies that are going on within the communities, I think we need to address that too. Because I'm still not understanding. I understand, but I mean, what do we do to overcome the fact, and what I was picking up, that healthcare providers have a problem with Medicaid. And we've got a large population here on Medicaid. And I know it's all about fees and so forth and so on, and that, payment is based on outcomes and that sort of thing. And I know there's a problem that hospitals are not getting paid based on the fact that people are returning for the same treatments that they were once released by the hospital as being cured from, because home care is not the quality that it should be. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to do things.
I can also add this. Healthcare professionals are looking for our input as patients. So I've been lucky enough to be on several committees where, as a patient, I give feedback, and some of them are statewide committees. So there are those opportunities for citizens to get involved, to give hospitals, doctors, the medical profession feedback. I think they need it from us.
There's so much more here to unpack and discussions to have to then unpack and get action items around, put who's responsible, who's going to help, put a date to them, right? And then give people an update. It is 12:38. To be respectful of everyone's time, if you need to go, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll probably stay on for a little bit, those of you who want to stay on, but those of you who need to take off, have a great day, have a great weekend. Make sure to remember to vote. Oh,
and
Bill,
I add one more thing?
Bill, finish. Yep.
I really want to thank the committee that put this all together, and from last year and this year. The group of people people have worked many, many hours to decide the overall viewpoint of the summit, the program, what we're going to talk about. Linda, Kia, Darcy, Marilyn, Conrad, Diana, Grant, and Dea from last year. Thank you so much, because I know you guys have put in hundreds of hours on helping us do this. So thank you.
And you, Bill.
Thank you.
And you, Bill.
And you, Bill.
Daryl, I have a question. Were you available? Did you hear him mention reparations?
I didn't, but I have a lot to say about it.
That was one of the areas that he addressed. So we probably need to have a conversation about that as well. Because
I was thinking
the need.
Yeah.
Healthcare might be an area where it begins.
I was thinking, Daryl, that he would be a person to add to our list of our meetings in case he might be available to share with us some insight into reparations from his point of view in our discussions.
Great, and I'll make a point of reaching out to him as well.
And Daryl, his presentation was very good. That, you know, your community and civil rights heritage.
It's recorded. I can go back and watch it. Correct?
Yeah, right. It's really
What is the event that's on Tuesday at the Nat?
So thank you for asking, Dave. So we're addressing this issue of the St. Joseph Board of Health, declaring racism as a health crisis by putting together a panel, because, as many people here have said, now that it's been stated, it's kind of out there, the question now is, what do we do about it? It's not just about identifying the problem or diagnosing it, but we also have to have a prescription, right? And so the discussion on Tuesday is folks from our healthcare systems, from community healthcare providers, and people from the School of Nursing and Health Sciences at IUSB will be discussing kind of concretely, what does racism as a health crisis mean, and what are we doing about it? So that's the discussion on Tuesday.
And it is a virtual meeting?
It's a virtual meeting. The panel itself at the center, we're now moved into hybrid events where the panel will actually be in person at the center, streaming it over Zoom and Facebook for a virtual audience, so that it's available. So to anyone, again, this is one of the beauties of this moment with technology, that we know that we're having folks linking in from across the country to both watch but also participate, in this discussion.
Where do we find the link? Where do we find the link?
And you can go to the Civil Rights Heritage Center's website. Just go crhc.iusb.edu.
Okay.
Daryl, was anyone from the Board of Health invited to participate in the panel? Just curious.
Yes, they were.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What time?
We wanted some of the architects of that statement to be part of that discussion.
The link is in the chat for those of you. It looks like it's 6 to 7:30, Daryl.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Grant.
Of course.
Heidi Beidinger will be speaking on behalf of the Board of Health. I can guarantee you that there are about 10 different steps, action items that have already been made by the Department of Health in this regard, and can assure you that they will continue.
Great, thank you. So yeah, please, anyone and everyone who can join in that. This is another one of these cornerstones of our community that we need to address and address head on. All right, everyone, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to pick up my son now.
Important things first.
Yes.
Thank you all, and I look forward to continuing to work together.
Great. Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
So you guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up too, because I'm going kayaking. Hey.
Stay warm.
Yeah. Don't fall in the water.
Yeah, right. Thank you, guys. I'm having to go too.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving too. So have a good weekend, everybody.
Everyone have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, Grant and Bill.
Thanks, everyone.